Hello, dear friends. My name is Sofya Dorinskaya. I am a doctor, a real doctor who graduated from a higher medical educational institution, a university, and I worked in a hospital, a real hospital. I am recording this video for non-Russian speaking people who watch me in any other languages except Russian. And today I want to tell you why you should subscribe to our channel, why you should listen to what I say, and why it is Russian doctors who have knowledge that unfortunately doctors in the rest of the world do not have. This is a very interesting situation. I have to say that in the Soviet Union, and I am a doctor from the Soviet Union, also in the Soviet Union, commercial activity was prohibited. In the Soviet Union, you couldn't create your own businesses and you couldn't organize individual labor activities. In general, any kind of commerce was prohibited in the Soviet Union. You could end up in prison for that, and during a certain period in the Soviet Union, it was punishable by execution. In other words, under the threat of the death penalty, you couldn't engage in commercial activity. We won't discuss right now how this affects the economy. It affects the economy negatively, and it also negatively impacts the development of society. But there are several areas of human life where a ban on commercial activity is justified. These are education and healthcare, at the very least. Well, the police, of course, because a police officer whom you pay off is protecting you from someone who doesn't have money. Of course, that's no longer order in the country. So there are areas where commerce is unacceptable. And in the Soviet Union, medicine developed and conducted its research separate from the idea that a doctor should sell some pills to patients. Medicine was developing with huge research institutes, large hospitals, and clinical departments that were engaged only in pure science. They never took money from pharmaceutical companies. They were funded by the state. They never set out in their research to promote a specific drug or to falsify their research results to show how great a particular drug was. Some pharmaceutical company cobbled something together and now it needs to be released to the market. No one even had that thought. That's the first thing. Second, the goal that doctors in the Soviet Union had was a healthy person. That's how we were taught. When you started working at a hospital or a clinic, your task was to restore a person's ability to work, to make sure that the person could go to work and produce their output there. Never, no one ever even thought of making a person stay sick for a long time, making them take a lot of medicine, or making their illness last forever. No one ever even thought that the doctor could intentionally worsen a person's health or deliberately lead them to disability by their actions, exclusively and only so that this person would then buy certain pills for the rest of their life and provide income for the pharmaceutical company. Unfortunately, right now, this is exactly the situation all over the world, including in Russia. And we, people, humanity, had only a short period of time. And that was the Soviet Union, when medicine really studied how to help people be healthy. And there were huge research institutes and clinical departments all over the country. The Soviet Union was very large, where the effects of vitamins and nutrition were studied, where scientists, professors, and academicians developed recommendations on how to live on work and rest schedules, on nutrition, in order to maximize and prolong a person's health and ability to work. And since I am a doctor who was trained back in the Soviet Union, I was taught by professors from that time from the Soviet Union who couldn't even imagine the idea of deliberately making people disabled. I'll give you some examples. In the modern world, there are so-called guidelines. These plans that doctors are supposed to follow when treating people are intentionally designed in many areas to make a person disabled. For example, with thyroid gland disorders, absolutely any thyroid gland disorder in principle can be resolved without removing a person's thyroid gland. We're not talking about oncology right now, although thyroid cancer is not that aggressive. That is, our practice shows that we can move a person away from this oncological predisposition. Our practice confirms this. But the vast majority of situations are when a person either has hyperthyroidism or hypothyroidism. Now we see how doctors deliberately lead a person down the path to have their thyroid gland removed. Deliberately, because in the vast majority of cases the thyroid gland can be restored and the person will remain and they won't have to take thyroid hormones for the rest of their life. And as you can imagine, they won't have to pay the pharmaceutical company and the pharmacy for the rest of their life just to maintain their life and take thyroxine, that very thyroid hormone. That's exactly why you should subscribe to this channel. That's exactly why you should watch these videos, because I share information that makes people healthy. My videos are based on extensive experience, on huge, very large studies, serious scientific research conducted in the Soviet Union by doctors. And you can trust this because in the Soviet Union there was reliable statistics. A doctor's work was measured by the number of healthy people in their area or under their responsibility, by the number of healthy people. But now a doctor's work is measured differently. If a doctor deviated from these guidelines or these prescribed steps, it was all set up so that pharmaceutical companies would benefit, so that insurance companies would make money, you know? Now, there are no statistics on public health at all, but back then they existed. And I can tell you that the data we have compared to the data available now, sometimes, it's shocking how much the real data gets distorted. In order for people to be sick, let me give you an example. Now, in the instructions for vitamin C, in the instructions for people, it is described how vitamin C works in the animal's body. Dogs, rhinoceroses, horses, anyone. Because the animal's body and the human body have completely different physiology when it comes to vitamin C, and the way it works is completely different. So now in the instructions for vitamin C, it describes how vitamin C works in an animal's body, because in the human body it works completely differently. I'll explain, and these videos will be translated for you. Vitamin C is not produced in the human body, but in animals it is produced in the liver. There are three organisms on planet Earth that do not produce vitamin C in their bodies: humans, monkeys, and guinea pigs. And in humans, monkeys, and guinea pigs, vitamin C works completely differently in the body when we talk about a dog, a cat, a giraffe, a hippopotamus, or someone else. Vitamin C is produced in the liver in these animals. When these animals get too much vitamin C, when they are given a lot of it, or for example, if you feed the animal with sugar, it is exactly from sugar that vitamin C is produced in the dog's liver. And since their physiology is different, vitamin C in dogs can cause kidney stones. But in humans, monkeys, and guinea pigs, vitamin C is not produced in the body. And no matter how much vitamin C you take, this vitamin will never cause any side effects in your body. It's impossible for vitamin C to cause kidney stones in the human body. Moreover, statistics show that when a person takes high doses of vitamin C, their kidney stones dissolve. But in the modern world, all of this is deliberately mixed up. And now scientific literature claims that vitamin C causes kidney stones in people. Never, never, never does it do that. And in that literature, we have a very large collection of real books written by scientists in the Soviet Union. I'll repeat myself. Who were not influenced by pharmaceutical companies, who were not paid by pharmaceutical companies to say what they were told to say instead of what was actually true. So in those books, we read that vitamin C never causes any harm at all. High doses of vitamin C are beneficial. A person should take vitamin C every day because vitamin C is not produced in the human body. There's nowhere for the body to get it from. But the lack of vitamin C leads a person to very serious illnesses, Other related videos will be translated for you. I won't talk about this right now. That's why I want to invite you to subscribe to this channel and listen carefully to what I'm saying. Maybe you need to watch some videos several times? That's possible because I don't always talk about simple things, but I try to speak in simple language that ordinary people can understand. Because when you understand a topic, you can explain it in simple terms, just like I just explained vitamin C to you in the simplest way possible. I'm happy for every subscriber in every language. Of course, in Russian it's clear, but this video will be translated into other languages. I welcome everyone who subscribes to this channel in any other language. You can write your comments. Of course, I will see them. I will try to answer your questions. Maybe I will make videos specifically for you and your audiences addressing your questions. Well, today I'm very glad to meet you. You can find me on the website. And we provide a service for correcting nutrient deficiencies on the website. Well, in English, you'll have to translate if you don't know the language. And you can write your questions on the website from the site. I'll always answer you. Thanks for your attention.